没有走完的路不会是终点，故事的走向是自己选择的坚持。
这个故事的开头还算不错，相信过程，相信自己走过的路。
那些最激动人心的冒险，从来不是单枪匹马的挑战。
과거는 잊으세요. 내일이 새로운 시작입니다. 내 경기가 새로운 도전입니다.
我们愿意为胜利付出许多代价，改变只是其中之一。
어떤 사람이든 현재에 만족하지 않고 어떠한 사람이든 제자리 걸음을 하지 않는다.
过去的荣耀就存留在记忆中，这一抹红色要照亮未来。
为之付出的心血越多，收获的果实才越甘甜。
赛场上的事怎能尽如人意？我只想追求无愧于心。
保持微笑，胜利总会专顾你。
在尝过赢得一切的滋味之后，你绝对不会甘心做第二名。
尖矛和利刃是勇者的武器，也有最坚硬的盾和扬起风帆的大旗。
如果翻不过这座山， 他们就听不到你的故事。
这个故事的结局将由我们来谱写。为了无悔，为了胜利，为了站在世界这边。
Hello and welcome back to the English broadcast of the LPL. You can see we're in beautiful Xi'an. We've teleported over to Tyrian, not really, but you can see a good friend, Chang Mao, Vincent, on stage right now for the Mandarin broadcast, and the crowd is obviously hyped for this one in the new studio. And of course, WE will be playing against Snake in this one, and WE, of course, christened in their new studio in good old LPL fashion by losing their first game. So we'll see if they can actually come back and actually find a win here today against Snake, since they have been ripped from the home of the Snake Pit. And of course, Condi will be playing on this one. He will be in the jungle. And when you were looking at this roster, and a lot of people were looking at it and being like, okay, the band's back together for the most part. Surely this should be the win coming in. And we even have Imp in the wings as well. Surely this is all going to go well for us. Unfortunately, it didn't in the end, spoiler. But we've still got 957 here as well to rock some top laners. We'll see if they can do it against today. My name is Richard Pauls Cam, if you're joining us once again. I've got Clement Chu next to me. I've got more analytical firepower in Zach Rusty Pie. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm actually just super excited to once again be in Xi'an and not have to go in a little bit during the game as it started. Get to see it from the very beginning, and what a beautiful place that the Xi'an Stadium even is. It's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, loving the LEDs in the background as well. Super, super cool.
Those are actual castles. They're not LEDs.
Oh, there's actual castles?
Yes.
My mistake. Okay, we'll see if they can actually fight off the battlements there as well. So let's just dive right into it and start talking about this matchup. I'm going to start this one off with WE. I'm talking about their kind of style and their teamfight style specifically. Rusty, take me through what you've seen so far from WE.
I mean, yeah, so a bit of a caveat. We've only seen one best of 3 from Team WE. They had a sub in the AD carry position. They will have that again today. But from the single best of 3 that we have seen with the reunion of the team members, nothing has changed. They're the exact same team that they always were. It seems like we're going to continue to have to call them the Elder Dragon team, looking for the 35-minute team fights. But more importantly, not that they're looking for the team fights, that they're slow early, that they're super reliant on Condi early, and that not a lot has changed for them across the board in terms of that early style.
But Rusty, doesn't that seem like a bad thing, considering games end before 35 minutes?
Yeah. That's a really bad thing to try and do that. If you're slow early, like we've seen teams like Suning Gaming come into this split and just smash everybody in the early game, and it is so hard to come back from that with the deficit, with the meta specifically, with bruises running everywhere. You can't be slow early unless you've really got that backup plan, or you're a miracle maker like Fnatic and the enemy team makes a mistake.
So you feel like the adaptation to the meta isn't quite there because nothing has changed with WE? I feel like they've maybe done the direct opposite of FPX, where FPX probably shouldn't have changed and WE probably should have.
What do you think, Clement? Have they adapted?
They're still sitting on that second item spike while everyone is running on the first item spike, and their early Scullo contest has been absolutely atrocious. To throw a stat out there, Condi was on average 492 experience behind the enemy jungle on his first set. That's 5 Scuttles worth of experience. So they are not adapting to this new meta at all. On the other hand, I do want to talk a little bit about Snake. They used to be known as the Flank and Shank team. So they
What do you call them that, Clement?
Huh?
Only you called them.
Only you, actually.
They
Yeah, I
used
actually
to be called that.
invented
You said this yesterday. It was like, I've got a great new name for Snake, guys. You know what? It's the flank and shank. It's like, you can't say that, Clement. Go ahead.
Okay, but let me explain it. They come in from all sides, from all directions. They're really relying on their globals. Tom Kent's really good champion for Hudie. Zach, of course, the Sejuani for SOFM. And of course, the one that's doing the shanking is Flandre in the top lane. Great with his Vladimir picks and Gangplank picks. And he does have the most kills out of anyone on his team. And he's the only top laner we have in the LPL that also does the most damage on his team. So if you want to look for a big carry, it's actually in the top lane for Snake.
I've got a question for you, Clement. Did you spell that that lower third right there with the shank and the E on the end? Was that you?
No, that was our
producer.
That was our producer. Shanking.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that pun was you or not, and whether it was.
No. I probably can't fault my producer, but that was definitely him.
Okay, nice, good stuff. I've just been told it was intentional, so. Well, I want to extend that over to the opposite side as well, talking about the jungle matchup right here, because he's going to be facing down Kondi. And now Kondi, son of Baron, of course, he's got like a lot of accolades behind him, but also the fact that he's just a strong jungler in general. But is he able to keep up despite the team not adapting to the meta?
It's good to see Kondi back. I will say that first and foremost. It's exciting to see a lot of the band back together for Team WE. But for Kondi, when you look at the jungle, and again, one set of sample size is not a definitive answer that we can actually give here until we see more of him. But so far, you would never expect him to be able to keep up with SOFM. And of course, to divulge that a little bit further, it's never just a jungle matchup. When Snake plays League of Legends, they play so much around their vision control and actually set up as a team for SOFM to go into the jungle that Kondi can't find him unless SOFM wants him to be found and then looks for the 1v1. So usually, you're not just having that 1v1 back and forth. It's not just going to be a raw battle. It's a team-based affair. And Kondi, I'm not confident that he can take the 1v1 because I'm more confident in Snake's setup for that.
Just to talk a little bit more about these two junglers, they do have a lot of similar things. They're both very known for being creative. Ezreal jungle coming out from Kondi, first one to use it. And of course, Reaper Claws, Kha'Zix coming out for SOFM, first one to play that as well. And they're both so good at stealing objectives. The Son of Baron, that's the title for Kondi. And SOFM, the actual person to steal away the most buffs from in Spring Split.
And I will bring this back to the meta adaptations as well, specifically for the jungle. You mentioned the Ezreal jungle, you mentioned the Kha'Zix Reaper Claw Evolve. Well, unfortunately, we also get tragic add-ons to that, like the Mikhail's Crucible Zac that SOFM sometimes plays. So there's experiments that come on with Snake, where I feel like WE makes moves, but usually it's the correct move. Sometimes slow to the punch with new meta adaptations. Snake, very willing to just throw themselves at the meta and adapt very aggressively. Doesn't always work. Did last time we saw
But isn't that the best thing for this meta? We've seen generally the teams who have just thrown themselves at the meta. It's just like, okay, it's been 50-50, but sometimes you just go all out, especially in Snake's first set. It did work out. It feels like if you fully embrace this crazy meta, you're probably going to come up trumps.
And we do have to talk about that. It's the gold funneling from Snake. Now their mid laner is actually playing as a support, and they're funneling all that mid lane gold into SOFM. He hit 400 CS before 30-minute marks on his Graves. And we can talk about the mathematical theory here a little bit. If you have 3 people and you have 3 Storm Razors to distribute, the best way to get maximum damage is actually to stack all of your Storm Razors on the same person. And the reason is fairly simple. That way, every point of attack speed is amplifying the most attack damage. And that's the basic idea of gold funneling. We see in other MOBA games as well, but now we're coming full circle and having it in League of Legends run rampant. All the support items, definitely a big factor that. As a support main yourself, how do you feel about seeing 2 supports?
I mean, I feel good and bad. I'm a former mid lane main back when I played professional league as well, so it's nice to see my role now ooze into my new role. I get to play supports in the middle lane, and I will say, whilst it's cool to watch, it's exciting, there's a lot of variance in the way that players and teams can actually change up their styles now. It still also just feels that little bit bad to have to follow your jungler around. And there's a lot of times where if you're not the better team than your opponent and you're trying this strategy, usually you fail that strategy because they're just better at shutting you down.
I mean, it is a very strange meta in the sense that you always have to be good at every single role in every role, because picks are pretty much every pick I say nowadays is a flex pick, right? So you need to be able to play that. We've seen multiple people move from their natural habitats into bot lane, into mid lane. It's like, what are you even doing? Even mid game, we've seen that in LCK as well. People will just leave lane and just be a bot laner now. You know, it changes completely. So it seems like a team like Snake is very much adapted to doing the crazy and being able to adapt to a meta like this into WE here.
And with that, we have to talk about their role swaps, basically. They are starting Hudie and Maestro at the same time, and both of these people are actually playing in the support position. They're funneling all of that gold into 2 primary carries. Now Guoguo is playing in bot lane, actually as the marksman position.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the lineups. It is 957, Condi, Sheer, Gentle in the bottom lane with Missing. That's right, there is no bottom lane that you remember from WE. It's going to be a completely different bot lane as they take on Snake, Flandria in the top lane, SOFM in the jungle, Guoguo in the mid lane, Hudir and Maestro. That's right, not an OMG on Snake this time for Snake Esports.
And before we get into WE not having a support player, he seems to be missing in this one, we can take an extra chance to talk about Hudir and Maestro a little bit more, because there was a conversation that I was having earlier in the week with all of us about why would you put your mid laner on a support champion when he may be better in a carry role. Today, Snake, they're the perfect example of this because they're actually starting to support players. They have taken it to the extreme by subbing in another support completely, but you can see how effective it is. Guoguo, whilst he says mid lane on the list, has been playing bottom lane. He's been playing Darius. He's been playing with a support down there, and they've looked very effective doing so, whereas other teams, and I will use SKT as the obvious example for this, are still choosing not to do that. They're playing the Taric for Faker, and their jungler is still playing the Master Yi. And what I like about what Snake are doing is they're innovating to the next level. They're saying, okay, we may not want to have our AD carry playing something that is off-role. Let's just put another support down there, swap that support to mid lane, and let him support the jungler, though it is very telegraphed before you get into champ select.
Yeah, my big question for WE then is, can they disrupt this style of play? Because we have seen answers here. I think FPX brought out some good answers. Rogue Warriors had some good answers. For FPX, they picked the Aurelion Soul. They pushed the mid lane in, and they denied the counter jungle coming out from the support mid and also the Graves into the jungle. And for Rogue Warriors, I actually really like what their jungler was able to do. He straight rushed to Tiamat just to secure his own side of the jungle. So clear speed is going to be one of those big things that we're going to have to watch. And the other thing is the strong level 1 that we have to watch, because a lot of these combinations, they don't have CC. If you're talking about the Nuthis, which is Karthus and Nunu, they can't really retaliate if you throw a strong level 1 at them, if you throw your support at them early on. So these are the things that I want to see WE do in response.
But it's not always effective, right? Because even if you're running Nuthis, sometimes you look like a bit of a doofus, right? So for you guys, what do you think is like the best setup that we've seen so far? Because we've seen the Mordekaiser, the Shyvana, we've seen pretty much everything under the sun at this point. So what's A, your favorite, and B, what do you think is better?
I really don't have a favorite. That's the thing. Like, my favorite was when I watched Karthus Nunu get locked in. The enemy team was like, Yi Taric, what's up? Because nothing can stop the Yi and the Taric in that situation. I really don't think there is an outright best, and that's why we haven't seen one. Right? We've seen changes every single time. It started with Mordekaiser Shyvana, went to Mordekaiser Graves. They're constantly innovating. And I think that's a result of, firstly, draft phase being the most important and most volatile thing. Flex picks existing across the board through every single role and being unable to actually work things out until the end. And so they don't know what to actually pick besides what works in the end.
All right, it is prediction time. Now, I want to hear it from you guys. Where is your money at? What are you betting? What are you tipping? Clement, kick us off.
I'm going with my Snake boys. I've always voted for them. I believe they're going to come out strong, and this is a new meta, so I banked on their innovation to come out.
Yeah, with them until they die. Rusty?
Look, I made my prediction before yesterday's games, so I may have Team WE on that list. And I'm going to have to commit to Team WE, though I will do so regretfully, because I think Snake is a better team right now.
I mean, from what we've seen so far, that would definitely be the case. Now, we do have a special guest actually on the show to give us their prediction. Let's take a look. So we know where Nice is at. Nice, of course, EDG's dog. Thank you very much, Nice, for coming on the show for us. And that will be a WE vote from him. So it seems to be going the other direction from you guys.
Why didn't he eat both treats? That's a really well-trained dog. Like,
he's a professional, Clement.
Okay.
The lack of confidence in Snake, I think that's what it really is.
By the way, the one on the left, the treat on the left was definitely bigger. I spotted that. There's more meat on that bone.
I don't know about this. We're going to have to get the refs in here. But while we figure this out, we're going to send it over to the casters. Get us into game, guys.
Hey guys, we absolutely are ready to, as we are getting into WE versus Snake, and Nice with the prediction, just hopping in to make sure that he's got his opinion as well. Expert
Clement
analyst.
is just biased though. I don't understand what he's talking about meat on that bone. You're gonna have to take a second look at it.
Well, they might have some meat to deal with after this, because now WE in their brand new arena, they've suffered through the LPL curse of dropping their first game, and now they find themselves taking on the newcomers of Snake from Chongqing, as they have traveled all the way to try and bring them low. But already Graves and Lucian locked in for WE, and we've already got ourselves a good start with Tarek and Rise locked in for Snake.
Wow, these picks are just firing it off. So right now, looking at WE's composition thus far, because they really hasn't been locked in, but you would expect with how strong this champion is. Graves, Lucian. This just means that bottom lane is going to be a pretty high focus, but at the same time, you'd expect 957 to go towards a tank. Otherwise, the composition is a little bit more difficult in protecting Gentle and Condi in this endeavor.
We're going to see what that will be as Master Yi
There we go.
Tarek is locked in. I can see the analyst desk all with their head in their hands right now.
Look, we haven't seen SOFM pick it up, but we've seen teams ban it away from SOFM consistently. And every single time that happens, he's like, all right, I'll pick Graves, and I'll do the same damn thing. This time around, gets his hands on the Master Yi. And we know what Hudie and Maestro are supposed to do, double support. So we're expecting all the resources to be funneling in towards SOFM.
We'll see how that works for Snake. On the other hand, they're dealing with unknown quantities right now. Gentle, the newcomer to the LPL, along with the new support of Missing, filling in for Ben today. As Alistar is going to be banned away from him, we're still looking to see what Missing will take to support that, and whether or not that Aurelia does go into the mid lane for Xie, or if 957 decides to go for some sort of tank or aggressive play instead.
They must have done some research into Missing, realizing that the Alistar is a go-to pick for him, as well as the Tom Kent. Remember, Missing comes from the developmental team from WE, Mighty Eagles. So he's been with the organization for quite some time, now alongside Gentle. Both of them LDL quarterfinalists. That's not something they should feel proud about, dropping that early on. But now they have a new start coming in WE.
Yes, well, this new start on a much bigger stage in front of a brand new home crowd. Shen is the lock-in for Snake, and look at how tanky this setup is from Snake. You've got the Rise, you've got the Tarek, you've got the Shen just to keep that Master Yi alive, and they still got that 5th pick to round out the composition. We'll see what Gentle decides to lock in for Missing, and see how the final composition shakes out for Team WE. As Braum, we know how good the Braum Lucian lane is.
And if you're on Team WE, you have to support the Braum. If it's Zero, if it's Ben, it doesn't matter who the hell you are, you're picking the champion. So it's a champion they've known before, so now be putting it into the bottom lane. It's good disengage for all the nonsense Snake's going to be throwing at them.
Absolutely. One of the only ways to deal with Master Yi is to stun him. Of course, slows do nothing against the Highlander. That last survivor chasing down every single reset he can possibly get. Ornn is the final lock-in for 957. He's taking that up top, and now we'll see how Snake's composition rounds out with their own final pick in this match of the week against Team WE in their brand new arena, fresh off of a defeat yesterday. WE looking for redemption in front of the hometown fans. And looks like that will be support Fiddlestick, sending Tarek into the mid lane.
There we go, double support. Remember, this is a different context to the Graves. Remember, there are two faces to Graves out there. The face that SOFM had earlier on, where he was taking full mid lane wave repeatedly, and there's the second face to Graves, where he's the pressure skirmishing jungler. He doesn't look for constant waves. He's looking to push out the jungler. This time it's going to be SOFM from his camp. So expect early aggression coming out of Condi.
Yeah, we don't have the final few champions locked in just yet. It could be Xie taking this Braum in the mid lane instead of Missing. And as we run down the clock, there's just a few seconds left as these champions are about to become locked in. Yeah, Tarek is actually going bottom, and Xie is taking Braum mid into Rise.
Yep, mask off. Just kidding. I lied, by the way.
Yeah.
This Graves is getting a lot of resources.
Yes.
So it's going to be a 2v2 mid lane, pretty much. So both champions are going to be trying their hardest to get the wave. And that's the thing, man. If you're in a 2v1 lane, you're trying to figure out how do you deal with the two-man mid lane push. Bring an extra friend.
A numbers advantage, that's what it is. WE in their brand new castle of a stadium taking on Snake. Their opponents, the Master Yi Tarek strategy, but they're not lined up against each other. It's not the mid jungle, it's coming out of the jungle and the bottom lane, so perhaps a little bit more of a slow start out of Snake unless they unlock that Tarek immediately.
Look, remember, whenever we get into Champion Select, because Hudie and Maestro are seen as supports, they will be put in the bottom side of the Champion Select, but when they get into the game itself, it's going to be Tarek going to the mid lane. So that's just how life is. It's just on the observers to swap that around when we get in. So that's what's interesting to me. Remember, we've seen the Master Yi before. It was in LCK for MVP. It was in the NACS, or the NA Academy, for Mr. Levi himself.
Yes.
So Vietnamese, eat your heart out, get you in there. Like
Absolutely.
The jungler himself really just showcasing that it's just going to be his style of me. SOFM's coming in now.
It's so funny that you actually bring it up. It's been so long since I've seen a player play outside of their designated lanes. I forgot that that was an actual possibility.
Yeah.
Because this is 8-11. This is the crazy, wild, fun times where just about anything can happen. Houtier's playing support, but it's Guo on that rise, likely going down into the bottom with him to help round out that composition. But Team WE, in front of the hometown crowd, their brand new stadium, will be looking for a win against Team Snake, the newcomers in this. And Snake, not exactly known for having a high win rate outside of the Snake pit, could be trying to upset those stats in their favor as we move into 2018 summer.
Here's the real test, because remember, last split, there's not a lot of teams in a lot of ways stadiums, so Snake has been in their stadium throughout the entire split until the very end.
Yeah.
So seeing that fall, you never know what the correlation was. This time around, you get to test it because now you add 2 more stadiums to the mix, and it's going to be interesting to see what we get.
Yeah, it's a 57.5 win rate at home for the Snake crowd and a 33% win rate outside of that. And that's with 40 games in the home crowd and 12 games outside of Chongqing. So hey, now that we're starting to see some more franchises open up, perhaps this could be the decline of Snake as they start to travel around. We call it the Snake Pit for a reason. That's where teams go to get bopped.
Yeah, and the audience members in the Snake Pit are incredibly passionate, so you get to hear them even if you have those noise-canceling headsets.
Yes.
So that's just the name of the game there. So you got to see if WE can get comfortable in Sion. That's always the first question, because remember, a lot of these teams, not a single team has won their first set in their first stadium game. So in the opening ceremony, it's always the rough one. But once you start to get comfortable, then that's when you can start to really utilize it to your advantage.
That's what we started to see with OMG in Chengdu. Snake, of course, in Chongqing doing the exact same thing. So already we're starting to see that trend, but WE, this is the team that went to semifinals at Worlds. They've brought in an entirely new bottom lane here with Gentle and Missing to fill in for Mystic and Ben/Zero, who went to that semifinal match along with the rest of WE.
So this is my fear with WE. Know that Clement and I, with Fish, had a podcast beginning of the split, and of course the hype around WE is that Condi is back, so naturally the best jungler 2017 back on stage should be a massive bump. But yes, you're on camera, Missy.
There's the surprise. Oh, wait, that's me.
But of course, the fact that there's now the lacking stability on the team with the new added members, and you'd expect Pepper to see some play throughout the split, adds a wrench to WE where they're mixing and developing their roster rather than just bringing in the ironclad 2017 WE and letting them take the victories.
And we'll see how WE can actually recover over the course of this, because they did not quite get to see that success we were hoping for in spring, especially fresh off of the semi-performance that we saw.
Yeah, they just have to get used to the meta. That's always the big point for them, because they're going up against a team that you could arguably say has just mastered it. They decide to put in an extra support in there, so they think they had a really strong grasp versus a team that tried to go later, tried to go late in their composition. So that's the problem where I see with WE when they had a major falling towards TOP, a team that was the worst in the spring split. Just somehow now being able to topple them 2-0. So WE need to shape up, need to look towards the meta. This time around, they're doing that, picking up the Graves and now giving them that resources.
That being said, they've got the champions, but they might still have to actually adjust the playstyle coming into this next game. WE are still the 35-minute team. They're still the Elder Dragon late game team fight, and that's not the current meta. It's all about that super early skirmish, all about the early control and early snowball, and that is Snake's forte. This is the team that had some of the best early games in the entirety of the LPL. We're talking better than RNG, better than WE, better than EDG, and now the meta falls into their favor.
Yeah, it might make them a little better, because whenever we talk about an early game for Snake, sure, they make very hectic plays early on, but remember, Snake has been, last split, the slowest in terms of game time.
Yes.
So even though naturally you'd you see SOFM and he wants to be able to pick up the Lee Sin and look for these plays. But it seems like based off the coaching staff and the direction that they have, they place a lot more vision control.
Yeah.
They've been known as the highest warding team of the LPL. But then picking this up, you get to see a lot more of that natural inclination start to come out. So I would agree with you. I think right now Snake is going to evolve and shed that skin to be a lot more of an early game team.
Oh no, the Snake very well could evolve into a dragon if they continue to try and take wins and look for a better performance as they chase towards playoffs. We do have to apologize. We have some technical delays as we load into this game. Seems like one of the players was having some difficulties here. We're trying to get it resolved as quickly as possible as we prepare to load onto the Rift for this game number 1. Again, same thing, beginning of a new season. Got to make sure all your tech is working and that our battle stations are fully operational before we can open fire on Alderaan.
Yeah, I mean, as long
kick
as,
off the Summer Split.
As long as I get to sit here and listen to some random Hollywood music, that track that's rolling for 30
yeah,
seconds.
It's the elevator music. It keeps on
That's
building.
not elevator
and building.
music.
No, it's the hype elevator music.
There is no
Because it just keeps on building, but it never ends.
There's no such thing as hype elevator music. I don't know what
you ever,
elevator you've been riding on, Senor.
Have you ever gone to Disneyland or something, and then you're riding the elevator up to the Tower of Terror, and the music just builds and builds?
Yeah, that's clowny music.
That's clowny music. Okay.
I've never
Different
heard of some
qualities
hype music.
of
Anyways.
elevator music versus hype music. Okay, well then, what would you describe this hype building music with no drop?
I would describe it as speed. Oh yeah, literally just speed. No, that's what it is.
Speeding.
Yeah, no, literally when you're on the bus and you can't go below 50
Oh,
kilometers.
the film. Yeah.
The film.
Okay.
This is
Can't
literally
go below
what plays
60.
throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. Just constantly looping over and over. Well, tragically, we don't have a lot of the speed on stage as the players are still not quite talking to each other just yet. We're trying to get these technical difficulties ironed out so that we can get onto the Rift as quick as we can. I'm just as hyped as you guys are to get in here. Now we can see SOFM free to talk with his teammates and start planning around these strategies.
Yeah, and I think that I'm just going to start talking about SOFM as a player because that's just because we have added time now so we can do that. I'm a free man.
Yes.
Why not?
Yeah.
So SOFM has always been a jungler that you always question what is limiting him. Like first game that he played, first series that he played, playing the Sejuani pick, Skarner pick. Now that's fine. That takes some time to really get going. And so a lot of it comes down to the ideal play where they want to play as a team. Now we see him on the map. Thank the Lord.
As we've loaded onto the Rift, game 1 between WE and Snake.
And we get to see SOFM on that Master Yi. Let's go.
WE invading. I know the crowd is chanting and cheering. You can even hear the drums in the background. But they have found Hudye. That's an early flash in order to escape the concussive blows. Guoguo is still there. SOFM, he wants both camps. Will he be able to get them? Smite from Kandi secures away the blue.
And so this is the pressure that we're looking for with the Graves. Graves, Braum, immediately get in there as well with the double tap that you have with Gentle's Lucian. So there we have it. Now, if I'm looking to SOFM, he needs to actually be focused on the mid lane a lot more often because that's free pressure that he can get, free CS that he can get. Meanwhile, Kandi is going to be able to get this push and then immediately challenge the red buff that SOFM is going for.
And now is the time. SOFM, you get to experience the invades that Kandi experienced just yesterday, actually.
Yep. Happened so quickly.
Yeah. It was a very quick adaptation from WE to take the strategy and use it against them. 957 is taking this Aurelia top into Flandre with some great damage. Even rocking the teleport like a true top laner, not looking for the kill.
Now you'd expect the Shen pick to do decently into the matchup, but remember you need levels here. Get the taunt across with the... Okay, wait a second.
That Dazzle missed, but they're getting damage on the SOFM. That's Exhaust. Still the wave crashes in as Kandi is going to catch this experience.
So this is just rough. We finally see a 2v2 in the mid lane because both of these styles are clashing and it's the range matchup of Graves and Braum that takes full control. So even though ideally SOFM wants to be able to pick these resources up, it ain't gonna happen. He's gonna have to pick them up under tower or at least try to.
That makes it a lot riskier, especially against that Graves and Braum. We've already seen how much damage just a little bit of crowd control can do as missing. Taking this Orin in the bottom lane, Minion Dematerializer and Magical Footwear, along with that Chrysalis and Bone Plating. Plus Guardian as well, so he's playing the full support role on that Orin. Well, with the exception of Ignite.
Yeah, so I mean, Ignite, it's always just for the pressure of the bottom lane.
Yeah.
So best thing about this new meta, 8.10 and forward, now that it's 8.11, is that you push out mid and you still have the experience to go for Scuttle Crabs as well. So double Scuttle Crab picked up by WE on both sides means that easily, once they push out this wave, they can start pressuring towards each camp and always have a getaway strategy. So it's going to be on towards SOFM that finds a way to combat that. And that's going to be hard to do so with both of his side lanes getting pressured now.
We've always called him one of the most creative junglers because of his pathing, how innovative he can find his ways into the enemy jungle and invade and seal away camps. Well, he's up against Kandi and Xie on Graves and Braum, who are just as aggressively pushing back. And by constantly keeping this mid-wave pushed in and constantly maneuvering around, they're not giving SOFM an opportunity, an opening, to look for the invade on the opposite side. And we're starting to see how these strategies clash. The Graves Braum against the Master Yi Tarek.
Yeah, and so this is just the first time we get to see WE really have an early game this split. So that's fantastic to see. The criticism that we had for them against TOP is that the game just ended way too quickly. Way too early because WE thought they had the later portions of the skirmishing and team fights later on. This time around, 957 doing phenomenally versus Flandre. Bottom lane's the case as well, and Kandi is Xie feeling really comfortable here.
Xie is actually going to step forward as he actually does tag the stun. Here comes Kandi. Now he turns onto Maestro. Stun is ready. Dazzle will hit. It's a 3-man stun. Maestro just flashes over the wall. 957 has found SOFM. He's got flash, but just uses Alpha Strike to get over. Even the Scryer's Bloom setup from SOFM.
There we go. But here's the thing, they've been completely isolated from the mid lane. So this means that Graves is going to push this one in and get the full experience depriving. So like that, this means that right now SOFM is not going to have the experience in the mid lane. He is 10 CS behind and it's only going to get worse.
He's racing towards it to try and catch up, but it's going to be quite difficult with Maestro just now making his way out of the fountain, fresh off that recall. And in the bottom lane, you already talked about the push pressure of this Lucian and Ornn. You'd imagine against a Fiddlesticks and a Ryze, there would be AoE and wave clear to deal with it. But right now, Gentle is sitting pretty happily with that control, and 957 is keeping Flandre occupied up top. So things are looking good for WE in just about all 3 lanes.
Yeah. For Guoguo specifically, look at the mana he's been expending consistently in lane. That's why he's getting pushed in quite frequently. And missing Minion Dematerializer, he's going to be able to have the constant push into this one. So even though you would expect the double mage bottom lane to be able to get the push into a tank and AD carry, that's just not the case because of that context.
And that means that we do get to see recall from those bottom lanes. Again, the Cutlass, as Xie is just expending a little bit of mana to stall out the wave before Kandi heads over with a fresh red buff. And it's just constantly trading pressure in this mid lane from the mid-jungle duo. Mountain Dragon, very early spawn.
This is a good test to WE if they've been timing these buffs properly. So blue buff is going to be coming up really soon. So immediately you see Missing putting in the Scryer's Bloom to track this one out. So they have the Scuttle Crab behind them as well. So that should be an experience advantage in favor of Kandi, not enough to net a level advantage.
It's trying to start off this blue buff, but of course Graves will knock it back with every auto attack. Maestro and the rest of Snake show up to defend. Even Guoguo's on the side with a fresh tier. But now it's getting low. Smite and SOFM steals away his own blue buff.
There we go. I mean, looking at this, you would say that, sure, you might be able to give it to Guoguo, but it's not that bad since Guoguo is supported in the bottom lane. So the fact that SOFM was able to get it is a positive. He has the experience to his name now, and he can go back towards his red buff. So, disaster averted.
For now, at least. But it is 1,000 gold advantage for WE when it's all said and done as we get to the 7.5-minute mark. And again, just timing out that red buff. Even Xie is stepping up. SOFM is just looping around this vision game. They've actually managed to get behind them. That's the Stand United. Kandi drops the smokescreen and steps back in to try and sidestep this. But Flandre, what a shadow dash, catches up, and Kandi, separated from his team, will go low and eventually go down, but at first blood is in the bottom lane. Gentle was able to get a kill onto Guoguo as SOFM. He's found the first reset and is chasing down the second. Flashes over to follow Xie and even dodges the Winter's Bite.
Got the heal, had the support, so even though in the bottom lane, we'll see that replay soon enough, I'm sure of it, that Gentle is able to get the kill on towards Guoguo. Doesn't matter if 2 kills for Snake, all on Master Yi.
We actually just saw Call of the Forge God used by Missing on the minimap. Guoguo was channeling teleport somewhere, but that was just canceled. As now we're looking at 957 in the top lane. Flandre going to be pushing in there, and I'm sure, like you said, we'll be seeing that happen bottom.
Boom! I guess two-man knock-up. Incredible debut from Missing. Really well done. Debut bottom lane. They've only been playing in scrims, obviously, to be able to do it together, so awesome to see him get down on, or at least be able to take down Guoguo.
Yeah.
In their debut match.
Just standing a little bit too close together. Gentle, anything but with that first blood. He's already got the Cutlass. Healthy number of CS ahead of Guoguo as well, as he is about 16 up. Now Condi will continue to catch this wave in the mid lane. Still seeing the CS advantage, but the 2 kills to SOFM should more than make up for it. And there's the SOFM we know and love.
Well, once he's finally gotten the push, this is the first time in the lane he was able to do just that. So red buff to his name as well. SOFM is finally, I would say, in the lead just because he's got the extra dagger and boost to his name. So right now, SOFM is in a really strong position, so he can finally push the lane. He's going for this one.
Oh, he absolutely is. That was actually the challenging smite. He catches up. Hudyet follows through. They find Condi and find a kill. Xie has got the stun ready. He lands it, but the drain is ticking away, and Xie will walk away with his life this time.
And the stun through Alpha Strikes gets over the wall, and he's able to follow up so damn easily. So this game is starting to snowball. We didn't think it was going to happen because WE was playing the early game really well done, but all it takes is that one mistake for Master Yi to come through.
And picking the correct target as well. Not the tanky Braum in that mid lane, but instead that Graves, the one who's got no resistances. You can see the rush towards Merc Treads coming out of Condi after he finishes off that jungle item, to try and recover and prevent any more stuns from locking him down for so long, as 957 keeps Flandre busy up here.
And this is what's important about this game. Suddenly, because SOFM is strong, Snake's win condition is so much easier, and is surrounding the fact that now Flandre has an out in this lane. He's been getting punished in this lane pretty heavily. Sure, he has 2 assists because he was able to help out earlier on, but it's going to be harder for 957 to pin him down. Flandre will have ulti soon, and all it is just utilize SOFM to go down the bottom lane and protect them with the Shen ulti on top of the Taric ulti. There is no tower that should be able to protect WE's bottom side.
We'll see whether or not that's going to be the case, as it's constantly pushing and pulling back in this mid lane. SOFM and Condi trying to hold their ground against the other, as these junglers in the mid lane, what a meta. Love me some 8-11. Condi and Braum, Graves and Braum have a little bit of the faster push right now, so they do have some more freedom and mobility, but SOFM, like he said, starting to pick up some speed with his own clear.
For the average player, you don't get to see a lot of this in your own games, because it is really just based around proper, I guess you can say duo queuing. If you want to duo queue it, do it, fine.
Then you get the Karthus Nunu,
yeah, that's
which, by the way, I believe should be like Karthump or Karthnu.
I hate these duo names. I feel like they're so, like, if it sounds good, it sounds good. But like, dude, this sounds awful.
There's the Taric Master Yi. He might be stunned, but there's no stopping him. Oh, goodness. That's exactly what we expect out of the duo.
And let me tell you, all you WE fans out there, this is only going to get worse. So we talked about towers not meaning anything at this point for it, because as long as Shen ulti exists and Taric ulti is there, SOFM should always be looking for proper dives. And it's on WE to abandon these towers, back up to the next one, and trying to defend yourself and get enough resources so you can fight in the next fight. So right now, it's all on, I would say, Gentle has a kill to himself, has Blade of the Rune King, wants to go to Essence Reaver next. Once you get those items, you can look towards these 2v2s right. This is hilarious, by the way. They're just literally standing until they show themselves.
Yeah.
But it should be Gentle right now who's the win condition, because he's the only one doing well on the map.
And that puts a lot of pressure onto the new player for Team WE, as Flandre doesn't stop the recall. But again, this is Gentle. This is the new guy. This isn't Imp. This isn't Mystic. He's got a new supportive Missing as well. And while it is Missing's LPL stage debut, we got to see Gentle last night, day 2, and suddenly, when your 2 experienced players of Condi and Xie are the ones who are suffering, and it's onto the newcomers to put in the carry work. Quite scary.
It feels bad as an AD carry if the rest of your team is doing quite poorly, and it's on you to stop yourself from getting dived. That didn't happen. I think that Gentle played quite well under the circumstances last time around. And remember, the best thing I think Gentle has in favor of him during the LDL is that he CSs perfectly. Average is higher than 10 CS per minute. And sure, you could say that in a better environment, going up against more competitive AD carries, that won't happen because you have to think more about the trades in the laning phase. He doesn't have to worry about that this game because he's trading up against Guoguo. So going up against the mid laner, and a Rise Fiddlesticks no less, it's easy for him to try and farm up as perfectly as possible. Get out of there!
Oh, not again. There's no Cosmic Radiance, but actually that's the knock-up, and the AoE. SOFM is going low, but he's healing up Exhaust. And SOFM is out of there. Maestro flashes away, but gets stunned on the way out. That flash was used early. Dazzle is sidestepped. Can they go for the dive of their own? No, they can't.
All right, I mean, Maestro and SOFM think they can go forward. Dark Ultimate wasn't going to go through at the time, so just wasn't available. So really unfortunate overall play coming in from Snake, but they do recover. They're going to come back right mid lane.
Maestro's over the wall. That's the Alpha Strike. SOFM wants some more of the Dazzle. And Shadow Dash from Flandre as he groups up. Even Guoguo is getting in on the action. His teleport is canceled. Somebody's got to finish it off. Finally, Guoguo. Realm Warp to try and catch up as he eats some damage. But Xie, wow, did he actually just block that Spell Flux? Because Rune Prison is point and click.
Yeah, he didn't Rune Prison.
So that must have meant that he got barely out of range.
Yep, it was really close, really close.
Xie able to escape, but somehow Snake, after taking the engage, losing it, decided to turn it around with the collapse from Flandre and get the kill.
That's the thing. Flandre, proper communication. Recognized that he had the push in lane because he had Tiamat into the matchup, so moves towards the mid lane to get it working for themselves. So by the smallest of margins, they come out with a victory.
Yeah. That red buff providing enough regeneration to SOFM to get him back up to full health. Well, at least enough health to try and take that fight.
What's going to be rough right now is the fact that SOFM is looking towards his Quincy's Rage Blade. So, I mean, rough for WE because it was harder to get him off than before. Now that he's going to be applying so many autos, that's just going to be really difficult for the squishy Condi Gentle just to be able to get him off him. So it's going to be ultimately on Missing and CA on Braum to be able to push him off it. But you're right, slows ain't going to work. It's going to take some time and some execution for these two supports to be able to peel.
Some stuns, at the very least. And that's where we have to see the Braum and perhaps the Lucian stack up together. As I was expecting from the bottom lane. It's not the bottom lane, it's the Graves and Braum, but literally just one more person to try and proc that Winter's Bite and stun the Master Yi before he's able to get in and start shredding through their health bars.
Yeah, so theoretically, with the composition, as the game goes on, and if it evens out, WE's comp is just fine versus this. They do have Kiteback with Braum double AD carry, with an Orin as well. So Kiteback exists. Problem is that it's... Oh, here we go.
That's a very early Cosmic Radiance, and Stand United. Flandre misses the Shadow Dash. Call of the Forge God is missing. Separates Flandre, but he sidesteps, but cannot be saved. He goes down to the 5 members of WE. Culling into the minion wave could mean a push for WE for this turret.
And here comes the wave, and they have 4 members as well. Guoguo is not going to be coming, so with just 3 members and his 2 supports, ain't going to happen. You're not going to support that.
And that will be first brick to Team WE. Snake unable to defend as it's WE who used Snake's strategy against them, erupting out of the woodwork. They're diving onto SOFM. Mujie with the Crow Storm for a lot of damage, but WE are going so deep for this 2 turrets. Collateral damage gets one. Mujie with the stopwatch. They chase on the Maestro with his own, and he will be allowed to escape this time. They really wanted those kills.
Look at Guoguo's positioning. He's seeing the opportunity to maybe look for a play.
That's a teleport. They're forced to take the long way around. Rune Prison. Flandre will get revenge and secure the kill for himself. Titanic Hydra finishes that off.
So a response comes back, but it all starts with the fact that WE catch Snake sleeping. Taric ultimate comes through, and there's miscommunication in the lines of SOFM not sure if he should go forward or go backward. It results in this, the second tower getting dove here, and it's pretty decent from Snake as a whole, because even though SOFM falls, stopwatch comes through, it delays the second tower from going down, and it's much harder for WE to escape from this position.
Means WE now find themselves with their first few kills of this game. They also have that first turret, and despite that brutal laning phase in the mid lane, despite Xie and Condi's constant gaking, they now found themselves pretty close to Snake overall and actually in that gold lead about 1,400. Next Dragon's up in 60 seconds though. Guinsoo's has been finished for SOFM, and Condi has got his own Black Cleaver. Plus 957 somehow managed to hold on to his teleport in that play. Seems like he must have just walked there himself. So with these item completions, WE could be ready to take the next fight.
That could be true. It just means that Flandre needs to be ready to roam, because usually for a Shen, it would either be a TP or a Shen ulti. He doesn't have either right now. So as long as he's, as you can see right now, looking to take red buff, but he's in between 2 lanes, he's there for the team if the play happens.
Top tier 1 was just taken by WE. Snake trading on that other side of the map. Still looking to see where Flandre is. Defending the top tier 2. And Snake are still hanging out on this bottom half. Lots of vision around the Mountain Dragon, but WE, they take the next best thing and turn onto the Rift Herald following that top tier 1.
There we go. This should be going to them easily even though the ward is there. Snake's just not in position. So this is WE now with the Rift Herald. They should be looking to go for mid lane or bottom lane. Bottom lane still has the outer turret available, so if they're still going to go for mid lane inner, which is now fairly low because of the last push they had, they can threaten for inhib turret. So risk reward, if I'm WE, you clear both side lanes and set up for a mid lane push.
That'll take some good communication with the new players of WE, Gentle and Missing, trying to clear out those side lanes as quick as they can. A quick recall has been effected for WE. See some more tank items getting ready. Zeke's Convergence also finished off from Missing. It's a further setup for Gentle and provide more opportunities in these upcoming fights as we crest over to the 20-minute mark. Shelly the Herald has not been used just yet. We'll see where it goes because now WE are the ones on the map first.
And it looks like you're seeing a base coming in from Condi, even though he just got back on the map. He has to have a pretty important purchase that looks like it's just going to be the Zeal pick. So usually, if you get yourself Zeal, you're in a position where you're like, okay, we want to be in position to skirmish with how many fights that have been coming across. So he's going to come right back mid lane and set down the Rift Herald. So I want to see how that's used.
Still sitting in that pocket. Another 3 minutes left on that duration. 957 is still hanging out bottom, pushing against Flandre. A level down after the kills and assists that Flandre picked up earlier. But Flandre has his Stand United, and 957 has his Teleport.
He's getting stalled out just a bit because Lucian wants blue buff here. So empowering Gentle first, which is pretty cool to see coming in from a near AD carry. Second set that he's been playing in. And he's been performing quite well for himself. Now going on SOFM.
Really far forward. That's the Stand United. Not to mention the Call of the Forge God. They find 957 trying to flank. He flashes over the wall. Cosmic Radiance stalls it out. Flandre is stunned, but still rather full health. They're chasing SOFM down, and they will be able to escape over the wall. Snake somehow getting out, but the follow-up, missing with the 2-man knock-up. Gets a quick 2 kills as 957 cleans up the wave.
And they still have Rift Herald. They can place it mid lane, look for the Baron buff. Protect the man. You don't want him getting stunned now.
That's what we see. Shelly the Herald immediately summoned. And now Snake find themselves having to choose between Shelly and Baron as WE turn onto it. Looks like the pings are going down mid. Maestro is on the way, but there's not that much they can do. Even SOFM can't defend his way over this one unless he gets a huge alpha strike. They're ready to hop over the wall. Gentle leads the way. Shie follows. SOFM is the target. He's caught by the Dazzle and will not be able to catch up. But Baron picked up by WE.
Doesn't overcommit, just there to play defense. So the moment SOFM backs away, job is done, Baron's taken. So WE looking super good. This game should have been over by all means earlier on with Snake Snowball, but they played it safely, and you can see how well their composition is when they're even. Missing's knock-up, so well done, and it commits so they can get the second kill. Graves is now really online, so, I mean, even though the replay doesn't show it, before that was Snake's endeavor to get a skirmish, to get a fight. They try and all in on towards Aurelia, and she just flashes out, and you wait towards Gentle kiting back, Condi kiting back, behind the Braum ulti. Really well coordinated, and you can see the path to victory coming in from WE.
Certainly paving the way for them now that they've picked up that Baron. The Elder Dragon team, the late game team fight team, is taking a different strategy coming into this 8-11 meta after their defeat yesterday against TOP, and it seems to be working out for them against Snake, despite the rough start that they found themselves going into, especially bringing in Gentle and Missing to try and round out that bottom lane.
And WE's been known as a team that can recover when they find themselves in early deficits. That's been the motif for them, I would say, in 2017. That, yes, they're a team that tries to go for the 30-minute, 35-minute plays, but if they fall behind early, they know how to turtle and get their way back into the game.
Yeah.
This time around, I wouldn't necessarily call it a turtle because it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is not a turtle. If this is a turtle, this is like a, what's it, the Snapjaw turtle?
Oh, yeah.
The really angry ones?
The ones you don't want to be anywhere near.
Yeah.
And so that's what we saw with WE, is that they found ways to just move away from the Master Yi. Find ways to kite back and it mostly involved of a third-party member. It's not just the Graves and the Braum. A lot of the times you saw top lane coming in.
957
coming in. You
missing with the Call of the Forge God.
Exactly. So it's nice to see that so they can buff up the mid lane so they don't fall behind.
Also, I think I might have just realized why Missing has his name, especially as a support. It's so that when he roams, it says Missing is missing.
That's excellent. I'll take that.
In the chat.
Gives a new idea for a name for Rusty.
Yeah, we do have the quick pause, as you can see on your screen. We're going to try and get that resolved as quick as we can as we look to get back into this one. Seems Condi is having some trouble. He's like, I didn't get the kill. I used the collateral damage. I didn't have enough damage. Why is that?
Yeah, you should.
Calls in the ref.
Please.
Take a look at the math. Look, I do 7,000 damage with my ultimate. It didn't kill him.
Explain this to me.
It's like, oh no, that's only 700. My mistake. So we'll get that resolved as quick as we can. Snake now have to find themselves defending and recovering against an accelerated Team WE. And that's something that has always been a struggle for Snake. We call them the early game team, some of the best early games in the LPL. But like we said, their game times on average are some of the longest. They don't close out in the early game. They close out in the late game. Their mid games are statistically some of their weakest periods. And now they find themselves against an accelerated WE in that mid game.
And historically in the past, it's based off of the poor decisions, poor calls that's been coming through from Snake. So this game, you could say it's fairly similar, where I would say one play that comes to mind in this one was the Master Yi going forward when Tark doesn't have his ultimate. It happened in the mid lane. He had to be pushed out. And it felt like in these windows that Snake had, they try and greed out for particular plays. You say, greed, Master Yi, 4 kills for himself. He doesn't need a Tark ultimate.
Greedy? No.
And
Never.
So you just see them, a play that would work out versus the lower echelon teams in the LPL. Against WE, they know how to play around it. So that's just a lesson that they have to learn throughout the series.
We'll see if eventually Snake are able to learn their lesson. SOFM, one of the greediest players in the league, most known for his invades, constantly diving into the enemy jungle and stealing camps away from other people. But now he's up against WE, who are able to clear and hold their waves as we make our way back onto the Rift. Baron still sitting happily in Team WE's pocket. You can see about a third of the duration has ticked down, so still about 2 minutes left for WE to try and break down some remaining turrets. Already 2 members bottom, looking for tier 1.
Yeah, they have one more play in their pocket, which you can see where Lucian is right now on the map. So that means that the play is going to be catered towards bottom lane. Condi is just taking the full experience there. So 4 members strong of WE now battering through bottom side of the map. It's going to be Snake that's focusing around mid lane. It could just be a race.
Yeah, meanwhile, pings to defend that mid-tier 1. 957 falls back and gives it up to the quick jab from Snake. While WE are winding up for the haymaker, they swing and they take not 1 but 2 turrets. Flandre going for another jab on the opposite side, trying to take top tier 1. He's got teleport and stand united, but already bannered cannon Baron minion up to this inhibitor turret.
You always wonder if they're going to go all committing towards the race, just because this was a poor call in general if they're trying to defend. Losing the inhibitor tower because they weren't prepared, in position. So WE, they might actually just go for the inhibitor itself.
They could be looking for it. 957 is still pushing forward, and the mid-tier 2 was just taken by 957. He's got his own teleport and is close enough on that Aurelia. And you can hear the crowd chants. Realm Warp going to cut them off from behind. 3 members going in. Crowstorm from the front. Cosmic Radiance as they stack up, and it wears off real soon. Flandre joins the fight, but it's a knock-up in the front. WE kited out. They find the kill onto SOFM. They find the kill onto Flandre and chase down the rest. Quo go over the wall. Has got nowhere to Quo go. And instead it's Hoodye running back to the fountain. And he will also fall for the ace of Snake and WE. They show that the Snake Pit is what gives Snake their strength. In their brand new arena, they turn onto the Nexus and take their first win in Xi'an.
Patience is the name of the game. WE were patient enough to weather the early game storm. You can hear the crowd, and it's because they ended up taking that game 1 victory.
957. Looking very happy after that victory. The game 1 win in front of the home crowd. You can hear those chants, absolute volume, as that's being picked up. And still, with this win, WE are showing, hey, while we might be known for being the late game team, while we might be known for being the protect the carry, late game team fight, now that we've got Condi back, we've got the sword and the shield. We don't just sit back and wait. We can jab back on our own.
Yeah, I really liked what I saw there. mid-game responses from WE to catch the game back in their favor. And also the early game bridge from Gentle and Missing in the bottom lane. Because had that lane fell, and we've seen a lot of developing players start out their first game and do poorly. They started out by having a solo kill in the bottom lane. So that's a very strong play from them. So it allowed WE to be like, all right, we can leave them alone for now, and we can just focus on trying to keep Condi and Xie alive. That's what happened.
It absolutely worked out. The 3 veterans for WE with the return of Condi show that they've got some strength, and now WE find themselves up in this series against Snake, bringing out the Taric, Master Yi. It worked out in the early game, in the early laning phase, finding those kills, diving the turrets. There's nothing you can do to stop that Master Yi, despite the attempted stuns coming out from Xie on that Braum. But where they fell apart was in that overextending, the constant greed for more kills, the need to snowball. Because if you look at Snake's composition, there's not a lot of flexibility to scale into the late game. Master Yi either snowballs and wins the game, or you just about lose it.
Yeah, I would say that for them, they should just value resources a little bit more. Ultimate's a big piece if Master Yi wants to go, and you need to know when the Taric has his ultimate. That's it's just the basics of that, and I think that's what really fell through for the team. I think that going into the next game, they can still utilize this strategy. Teams have been banning against them for a reason. So that's just the lesson that I want to see. I don't want to see any changes in draft.
Okay, well, hey, we'll have to see if that's going to be the case. Of course, now it's time for our analysts to break down that win from WE.
Thank you so much, Dom. And indeed, we will be breaking it down, starting with the draft. And I think there's a lot that we need to talk about, gentlemen, about the draft, because we will definitely start on the Champions Select screen. But like, I still don't know where all the picks are going right now, to be honest. Yeah, for sure. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. We see the Grey Solution, the Aurelia, Braum, and Ornn coming out. So clearly, there has been some adaptation coming out of WE. That was our criticism of them coming into the set. And then Snake, whatever this was, went onto the Rift. And for the start of the game, it looks good.
It looked really good for Snake at the start of the game, right? But bringing it back to WE's draft, we have to celebrate that they adapted. You know, they went into the first set. Maybe it was that they were nervous. Maybe they just wanted to be really comfortable coming into the first set, but none of it worked. They come into the second. They put the Braum mid lane. They give Xie a supportive champion. He'll play like a supportive champion anyway. He loves his Lulu, loves his Karma, plays all of that. So it's nice to see him able to adapt freely to something like the Braum, even flexing on his opponents, putting the door backwards to taunt them and showing him his behind on the way out. So very confident play.
What I really like about WE's draft is their reaction to the Master E, full-on Master E composition in the second half. You could see the Braum and Ornn being taken as well. So in the later stages of the team fights, Master E actually had a lot of trouble getting those auto attacks off. There's just way too many stuns off onto that team composition, and I think they did react very well to the incoming comp.
That's the big thing for this, though. The last time we saw Master Yi Taric, or the first time I saw it, was in the LCK, and it was against a Karthus Nunu. Nothing's going to stop that Yi from auto-attacking.
You need hard CC.
You need hard crowd control, and they have so much crowd control in their composition that SOFM had a nightmare.
I mean, that's what went wrong, but at the start it looked so good for Snake. And you said the words to me, Rusty, the game's over in 2 minutes. As soon as Winsus gets picked up, it's over. So why did you think that the game was going to be over, even though the WE had that CC to use?
I mean, frankly, if a Master Yi gets ahead in a Master Yi Taric composition, no matter how much crowd control is there, he'll win the skirmishes from that point onwards. And then you just play towards the skirmishes, play towards stronger parts of the map. And you can frankly avoid the 5v5 until those 2 kills you got become 10. And then you one-hit the carries. And it doesn't matter how much CC they've got if the carry is already dead, right?
Yeah.
That's where you would expect the game ended.
I think the big story about this game is that W actually won the side lanes incredibly hard, and that allowed them to group whenever they wanted to. And if you're in a group position, you can layer your CC onto Master E. What Master E is really obnoxious about in solo queue and why he's such a good booster strategy is that you can go to any single lane and kill anyone you want underneath the tower. As long as there isn't enough people around there to really control you, then you can always do that. W won the side lanes. They were the one grouping first. They were the ones taking the fight over to Snake, and Snake didn't get the opportunity that Master E really wanted, running people down.
I know you were both talking about this as well, actually, but for me, the Aurelia shouldn't be outright winning the top lane. It's actually not one of Aurelia's best lanes right now. In fact, it'd be the worst of the 4 roles that she could potentially play, yet 20-odd CS at level 3?
Yep.
Like, how the hell?
I mean, level 1 basically was the name of the game. Gets the push advantage, hits the level 2 spike, punishes the Shen at levels 1, 2, and 3, and Shen just needs to hit level 2 and 3 to win the lane. Literally, all you need to do is get to level 2, but he wasn't able to, Clement.
The big thing is he stacked on the second wave, pushed it into the tower, and then made a freeze come back into the lane. So he was able to deny 2 waves by 4 minutes, and that just pretty much set the deal. If you do that to any top laner, you automatically win that lane.
Yeah, it's just game over from there, lights out. So impressive stuff from WE, and I want to shine a light on the bottom lane because we've got 2 new members coming in essentially for them. And I think they did pretty well. I mean, you said it yourself, the side lanes won super hard, and part of that was missing.
Yeah, I mean, at that 8-minute fight where the Master Yi does get 2 kills, at the exact same time on the bottom side of the map, Missing and Gentle are getting themselves a kill of their own. They're snowballing very well, and I feel like I can say from this first game that they were actually like the 2 best performing members on this team to be able to get WE through a mid-game trough where it looked like they were going to get snowballed on. They recouped very well. And then, of course, WE team fighting still looks very strong as a 5-man unit. Condi topped the damage in the end, so they had a very good performance after it all. But Missing and Gentle, special credit to them for being 2 rookies thrown into the fray, winning their lane and helping the whole team get across the line.
I mean, do you disagree, Clement?
I just really don't want to see Rise put in that bot lane anymore. I understand it's Gogo's best champion, and they had that cool moment with the Realm War party surprise in, but it's just such a weak lane. Going Rod of Ages into tier first, that like when everyone is fighting around your first item range, like we haven't seen a Rise in the bot lane actually do well, ever. Like, it's only good as a Vladimir counter like we talked about, but otherwise, I really don't like that lane.
What do you want to see instead then?
I would actually prefer the Vladimir if it isn't banned away from it. You do spike incredibly hard because of the Spellbinder first item into the team fight. But of course, that was banned away by WE. Very conscious that this is something Gogo does play.
Even then, right, you could probably just put your Shen into the bottom lane. We've seen Shens go duo lanes and be very successful. We mentioned this in the draft. They could potentially have a Fiddlestick Shen lane that, whilst it doesn't sound conventional, what is conventional anymore? It's still got the 2v2, and the Rise can then farm freely, get free levels and experience in the top lane 1v1 against Aurelia in not Aurelia's best lane either. I feel like that was also a potential strategy for them.
So to that point, are you saying that Snake should just draft the same but maybe just change the positions and the people playing them?
Yeah, I actually think this game was actually lost by the execution. That's the big thing they need to take away with it. And the other thing is probably just the level 1. The level 1 strategy from W came out incredibly hard. They had the hard CC. They locked down whatever Master Yi wanted to do. They didn't allow him to get both of his buffs very comfortably. So be careful of level 1, and you have to play the side lanes better. That's just
the recipe is there against the Taric Yi. Like, it's very obvious what you should be doing, and W did it very effectively up until the end of the game as well. Just run away from the Taric Yi. If Taric presses the ultimate too early, just disengage, wait for it to fall off. If the Yi loses the ultimate, loses the resets as well, very easy to win a team fight afterwards. And watching WE use all of their crowd control, just walk backwards and then go forwards again, was very impressive. And it started at level 1 by taking away camps, denying him control of the map, and making sure he stayed just a little bit further behind.
Yeah, it really was a lot at level 1, even though it looked dire for the first like 8 to 10 minutes of the game. You're right, the setup was there, and it took a long time for it to come to fruition. Actually, a lot of that came out from our MVP, 957 in the top lane, taking this one on his Aurelia play. And to be honest, I would just give it to him for his level 1, more than anything else. Those first like 15 seconds of the laning phase, probably netter than this one.
Yeah, he definitely did win the lane on his own, and the last team fight was also incredibly crucial, where he did knock out most of the members onto the Aurelia ultimate, disarming everyone. Last-ditch attempt from Snake going in, but not really hitting any of the carries. Lucian able to disengage from this fight, and just look at that Aurelia cage. There is no chance that Snake is going to re-enter into the backline by then.
Yeah, of course, if you can stop SOFM from auto-attacking, or even threaten that. We see earlier in the game, he was flashing out of the arena that Aurelia places down, and he was super snowballed, so high damage coming out of him. If you stay in the arena, if you leave it, you can't attack, then what's an SOFM to do?
Yeah, really nice place. Maybe thinking about that old Snake prediction there, Clement. But either way, just want to also shout out the Xi'an crowd. Got some really nice stuff coming out. I was seeing some chants in there as well, actually pushing it to the traditional sports. I like it. Anyway, we are going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're in that second game between W and Snake.
过去的荣光就留在记忆中 ，WE 要追逐新的胜利。